Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. It's April 21st. I'm John Weigell here with Matt Brown, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. You might have wondered how the hell trucks got so huge in the US. With sadly low miles per gallon, these clunkers are being marketed to us as vehicles capable of just about anything. But looking at Europe, Japan, and other countries, how did trucks here get so inflated and so inefficient? We'll answer those questions with the help of Matt Brown, who produced a video on these for the Hustle YouTube channel. But before that, let's give you the hits and headlines in business and tech to start off your day. All right, starting here, thankfully, robots aren't ready to chase us down just yet. On Saturday, Beijing hosted the world's first humanoid half marathon that pitted 21 robots against each other. The winner got a time of about 2 hours and 40 minutes, which is over double the amount of time it took the men's race winner. They're catching up, though. Next, Netflix's Q1 totals are in, and they are gargantuan. The company brought in $10.54 billion in revenue for the first quarter, up 13% from the same quarter last year, with a $2.89 billion profit. Netflix doesn't publicize subscriber numbers really, but it's believed that the streamer has about 700 million subscribers worldwide. Yeah, if they're all paying $30 each, I can see why. From there, we go to China. If you're a consistent Temu or Shein customer, tariffs are here for your rude awakening. Both Chinese retailers are expected to raise prices, with Temu saying it'll hike rates on April 25th specifically. This, of course, after President Donald Trump announced a 145% tariff on all Chinese imports. And finally, Meta's court battle with the FTC is ongoing, but what can the social company lose from this antitrust suit exactly? Well, Meta could lose Instagram, WhatsApp, or both if the trial goes the FTC's way. This means the company would lose about half of its ad business. But we'll keep you updated on this trial as it unravels. All right, so today we are joined by a very special guest, Matt Brown, a pretty familiar voice to me. He's here to tell us why American trucks are so damn big. So welcome, Matt, to the main segment of the Hustle Daily Show.
John, thank you so much. I feel so honored to be main segment.
Well, it's great to have you here. You produced a great video on American trucks. People are loving it. So I want to know, first of all, what got you down this truck rabbit hole? How did you kind of connect these dots?
Yeah, so there's something so American about pickup trucks. Like, it's something you feel inside your bones, but like you don't necessarily know why.
Oh, yeah.
So this piece sort of started at the solution for me. So I learned about K trucks, KEI trucks.
Yes.
They're these small trucks from Japan a few years back, and I was fascinated. They're adorable. They're tiny. They're about half the size of an American truck, but they also have the same bed size as a typical pickup truck.
Right.
You can haul pretty much anything normal people haul in their trucks. They get 50 miles per gallon. And after import fees and everything total, they cost like $8,000 to $12,000.
That's nothing.
Find me a truck that does that.
Yeah, right. They're very Studio Ghibli, by the way.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
So I've noticed also in American trucks, some truck beds are even shrinking while the truck gets bigger.
Yeah. I call it that trucks are getting less workhorse and more show pony. Is how I refer to it. It's like the only way I can wrap my brain around it.
That's a great way to describe it, because I really feel that too. Even living in New York City, whenever I see a big truck, I'm always like, do you really need that thing?
Yeah.
I think you kind of marked the 90s as a time period when we started to see the shift. What was happening around that time period?
All right. So just to back up a little bit more here, I came into this and like, why don't we have small trucks anymore in the US?
Right.
I started with that question, and it got me, doing some research, and I got exponentially more angry as I did it. And I think great stories can come from frustrating facts.
Yeah.
But the smallest new American truck you can buy today is the Ford Maverick.
Okay.
It's classified as a small truck. But if you traveled back to 1995 and you looked at the then new Ford F-150 of the time, you'd think you were looking at the same truck as the Maverick.
Oh.
They're almost exactly the same size, but the Ford F-150 back then was called a mid-size pickup truck.
Wow.
You see, we fully moved the goalposts on what even constitutes as a small truck nowadays. Because the reality is you can't buy a new small truck in America anymore.
Wow.
And like, not only that, like you can barely even buy passenger cars anymore. The only passenger car Ford makes today is the Mustang. That's it. There's no more line of Ford Focus cars. There's no Ford Fusion, no Taurus, nothing. One model. The rest are all pickup trucks, vans, and SUVs.
That's actually crazy. I didn't realize that transformation. I was still a Ford Focus man.
I know, right? So in the 1990s, it was like this weird inflection point. GM and Ford trucks were actually getting smaller up until that point.
Okay.
But then in 1990, we see this shift happen. And since then, trucks have grown 1,300 pounds and 18 feet in length on average.
Okay.
Pickup trucks, they can top like 7,000 pounds today.
Yeah.
And that's like the equivalent of 3 Honda Civics.
Okay. So why?
Great question, John.
Why have they inflated so much? Why have they gotten so much bigger?
Yeah. There's nothing more like America than the reason why Europe is out of the picture. A lot of this goes back to the 1960s. It's for a hilarious, but also like completely American exceptionalism reason.
Okay.
So definitely check out the piece for that whole breakdown. But with Europe out of the picture, I'm not sure that we built trucks because we feel the need to build big trucks. Like America makes big things, big houses, big trucks, all of that.
I can hear the bald eagle screeches from here.
We made bigger trucks because of failed policies that maybe genuinely were trying to be helpful when they were introduced. But it was cheaper for manufacturers to make bigger trucks.
Interesting.
They had larger profit margins. And all they had to do was market these bigger trucks as something consumers needed, whether that was for pride, for this vision of scaling mountains or hauling a neighborhood's worth of gravel in the back of the truck, or for safety from other big trucks, which is just like a real sad snowball effect.
It's very sad.
I'm not sure it's conclusive in the research that large trucks were a result of market demand, bending manufacturers' will towards making bigger trucks. It was more in the opposite.
And you also mentioned something that really fascinated me about miles per gallon goals. You said something changed under kind of the Obama administration. What changed and how did that kind of inadvertently maybe catapult the sizes to getting even bigger?
All right. So like follow me down this yellow brick road, John, we're going to do right here. Okay.
I'm the scarecrow. Okay.
Fine. Fair. We started fuel economy regulation in 1975 in this country. Trucks and passenger cars were different standards, and a plan for improving miles per gallon was in place. That plan got lobbied by manufacturers during Reagan's administration, but technically, still, there was some plan in place. Then in 2012, the Obama administration passed a new standard calling for 54.5 miles per gallon fleet-wide average requirement for light trucks and passenger cars. Look on the streets today, clearly, we're not hitting 54.5 miles per gallon for all of our cars.
No,
and
we
trucks.
are not. No way.
So until this point, in 2012, passenger cars and light trucks were treated separately. Now they were going to all be lumped in together.
Gotcha.
But I don't know if you caught this, John. There's a loophole here. So medium to heavy duty vehicles are exempt from this specific miles per gallon goal.
Okay.
So instead, medium to heavy duty vehicles were footprint based, or depending on the size of your vehicle, do whatever you can to lower tailpipe emissions by certain percentage within a certain time frame.
All sounds very vague.
Yeah, right? So the bigger the truck, the fewer emissions regulations.
Okay.
So the Obama administration inadvertently incentivized the creation of bigger trucks. Here's something I didn't get into in the piece that I thought was super interesting. So the administration didn't see this really as a problem because who's going to drive around a crazy large vehicle as their everyday driver? That would be crazy, right, John?
They didn't know what country they were governing.
So, two researchers at Michigan, Kate S. Whitefoot and John Skurlos, they looked into it. They ran hundreds of different model simulations to determine the likely outcome of the proposed 2012 standards versus different standards. The result, they declared that indeed the Obama administration's proposed standards create an incentive to increase vehicle size. And unlike the fighting climate change front, like miles per gallon, Whitefoot and Skurlos estimated that carbon dioxide emissions from new vehicles are 5 to 15% higher than they would be if automakers couldn't game the system by just making bigger vehicles.
Wow.
So, John, what's the equivalent of 5 to 15% higher carbon dioxide emissions? Say it with me. Building something like 3 to 10 coal-fired power plants.
Oh, good. I did not say it with you, but...
As researcher Christopher R. Niddle puts it, fuel economy could have increased by 50% 2 decades ago.
Okay.
If all administrations had just held that 1980 standards that were lobbied under Reagan, but fuel economy actually increased by only 15% today.
Okay. So comparing that to today, there are still, it seems like, not many regulations.
Yeah.
Has there been any kind of alteration?
No, those regulations still pretty much inform how our emission standards are, and is why today more and more trucks are just bigger and bigger every year. Even the Ford Maverick is bigger this year than it was last year.
I guess that's probably why K-trucks are being ordered a lot more into the U.S.
So when it comes to K-trucks, we've seen U.S. imports grow by 300% since 2020. But there is also an American truck company that's sprung up to kind of fill this huge gap in the market.
Right.
It's this company called Tello Trucks. They're building actual small-sized pickup trucks that are also electric. They only have one model right now. It's called the MT1. It's about the length of a Mini Cooper, so very small.
Yeah.
It has a 350-mile range, and it gets up to 500 horsepower.
Okay.
It's like not bad. It is adorable. It's practical for local and small business use cases. But there are downsides. You can't fit a whole bicycle in the back of it.
Okay.
They're also not cheap. A K-truck, again, will run you between like $8,000 to $12,000 kind of on average. A Tello truck starts at $40,000 to $50,000.
Wow. So yeah, even though they are filling that gap for the demand, it seems like the prices aren't exactly matching up with the K-trucks.
Right. A lot of people that are importing them are small business owners. And so these are people who just need to like drive around town. Maybe they're pool cleaners or they're like local handymen or any of those type of jobs. They're not necessarily people who need to drive on a highway for a long distance every day for their work, but they still need to be able to like haul tools around day to day.
Sure.
And buying a K-truck at $8,000 to $12,000 that gets 50 miles per gallon is a much easier buy as a small business than investing something like $50,000 or more for a American-made pickup truck today.
Yeah. I mean, it's a smart investment. And I mean, we'll see what happens with tariffs, but it seems like a good idea right now.
Yeah.
But, ending off here, I want to know from you, outside of, professionals like construction worker type of professions and for work, what day-to-day consumer actually will need a big ass truck?
It's so funny because honestly, very few people. You go back to like the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even the 70s. The only time pickup trucks were being driven around is for work-related reasons.
Right.
It was farmers, construction workers. They were driving trucks around for work. They weren't taking their kids to soccer in those trucks. And that wasn't the point of them. The F-Series trucks have been the best-selling truck in America for 40 years straight.
Okay.
Until this year.
Oh.
That was overtaken. But Ford F-150 owners were asked how they use their trucks. And here's what they said. 2/3 admit they occasionally or never use their trucks for hauling. And 1/3 occasionally or never use it for towing.
Okay.
So there's a significant portion of people who drive these trucks that don't use them for any reason of having a truck at all.
So to cap off then, big truck bad, small truck good?
All right. Honestly, like, I'm not out here to tell people what to buy. Like, you can buy whatever you want. That's on you. But are big trucks wildly impractical from a miles per gallon standpoint? Are they 2.5 times more likely to kill drivers of passenger cars in collisions than 2 passenger cars colliding? Are they the result of decades-long lobbying and exploiting a loophole so companies don't need to spend money developing better efficiency technology and instead make bigger trucks to avoid it? Are they marketing on the fragility of masculinity in this country? All these things and more, John. are a yes.
Okay.
So are small trucks good? I don't know. If you like the stuff I listed, no, they're not. If you don't like the stuff I listed, then yeah, small trucks are good.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that's up to you as a consumer.
That's right. Thank you so much, Matt. Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate you chatting with me, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you for having me, John.
All right, that'll do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of HubSpot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a ton more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go get signed up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at thehustledaily. We'll see you tomorrow.